In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to build a web application by using Flask framework. We will develop the web application in Amazon Web Service, EC2, and RDS so that you can develop codes in an environment similar to the actual service production environment. In order to follow this tutorial, there are some prerequisites. First, basic knowledge of Python, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS is required. The web application is built on Flask framework, so the basic knowledge of Python is necessary. Deep knowledge is not required, but basic knowledge is needed. To construct user interface on front-end side, you should be familiar with JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Likewise, all you need is basic knowledge. Second, the development environment requires two hosts. One is for a web application server, and the other is for a database server. For the web application server, you prepare an Amazon Web Service EC2 free-tier instance with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 installed. We are using CentOS system in production environment, but Amazon EC2 does not provide CentOS image, so we choose Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is the same family with CentOS. For the database server, you prepare an Amazon Web Service RDS free-tier instance with PostgreSQL 13 installed. PostgreSQL is a widely used relational database system along with MySQL. If you have not already prepared two AWS instances, please stop here, prepare them, and then continue watching this tutorial. If you cannot have an AWS EC2 instance with Red Hat Enterprise Linux for some reasons, you can use a Docker image of CentOS on your PC instead. In this tutorial, it is assumed that you have two AWS instances of EC2 and RDS. In the final stage of preparing EC2 instance, you should download a key pair consisting of public and private keys. This key pair is necessary when connecting to the EC2 instance via SSH. The key pair can be downloaded only once, so keep it in a safe place and do not lose it. For example, we save it in a subdirectory in Windows users Documents directory. In order to connect to the EC2 instance, you open a Windows PowerShell and change it to the directory where the key pair is stored. And then type ssh -i pm filename EC2 user at EC2 instance IP address. EC2 user is the default username automatically generated by AWS. Open Windows PowerShell and then change to the directory where the key pair is stored. And then type ssh -i pm filename EC2 user at your IP address. Now we are connected to the EC2 instance. We are in the home directory of EC2 user. Present directory, username. There are no files or directories. In order to use the Red Hat EC2 instance more easily, we should install some useful utilities. The installation will be made by the root account. Before changing to root, we set its password. Sudo password root. Type your password. Retype new password. Okay. Now change to root. Okay, now we are in the home directory of root. We use the command dnf when installing Linux packages, or we update dnf itself. dnf update. Yes. If we want to know the IP address of a domain, we use the command host. For example, host AWS Amazon.com. However, the command is not found. The command is contained in bind utils package. dnf install bind utils. Yes. Complete. Now we retype the command host AWS Amazon.com. Now the command works. We are going to install the traditional text editor Vim. First, we see if Vim is already installed. Which Vim? Vim is not found. Which VI? VI is found. Let's check how VI works. VI test.py. Test.py is a simple Python program. The entire source code appears white and the syntax is not highlighted. The color directory used to highlight syntax does not even exist. So we are going to install Vim manually. dnf install Vim. Yes. Complete. Which Vim? Vim has been installed. ls-l. There are many color scheme files. Vim test.py. The syntax is highlighted. Let's change the color scheme similar to VS Code. We are going to download Vim Code Dark. Vim Code Dark is a dark color scheme for Vim heavily inspired by the look of the darker scheme of Visual Studio Code. And we can download Vim Code Dark in this page. C URL, download URL, -o, temp.zip. Unzip temp.zip. However, the command is not found. We install unzip first. dnf install unzip. Yes. Complete. We try again. Unzip temp.zip. The zip file is inflated. We move codedark.vim file to the color scheme directory. Move codedark.vim. Colors. Vim test.py. But the color scheme remains the same. You must change the color scheme in vimrc file. .vimrc. Syntax on color scheme code dark. Now we try again. Vim test.py. Okay, now the color scheme is changed to code dark, which is similar to Visual Studio Code. We add an alias in bashrc file. Vim bashrc alias vi equal to vim. Source dot bashrc. Now we can simply use vi instead of vim. Vi test.py. The result is the same as vim. We set the same in the EC2 account. vim.vimrc syntax on color scheme code dark. vim.bashrc we add the same aliases. Source.bashrc. Now type vi test.py. vi works in the same way as Vim. In this video, we set up an Amazon Web Service EC2 instance. Additionally, we install some useful packages: bind utils, unzip, and vim. In order to use Vim in the color scheme similar to Visual Studio Code, we install codedark.vim and modify vimrc and bashrc. In the next video, we are going to learn how to set up a patch and integrate it with Python Flask. Thank you for watching this video.